Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast, your number one source for military entrepreneurship and entertainment. Welcome back, guys. Make sure that you guys hit that follow, subscribe, and that you guys follow all of the guests on today's podcast. Today, we have a very special podcast. It's the very, very first service member that comes here in uniform, and it's because we're going to be touching some touchy subjects, and I already know what the haters that still watch our podcast are going to say, okay? So that way we want to throw a little bit of flex in there, okay? As always, we are joined by my gracious co-host, Barry Bull. Let's go, Barry. How you doing today,
I
man?
had to throw the flex up because Albert's trying to bring sexy back with the beard, which he did tell me is natural, you guys. He grows it out naturally. That is not Rogaine on his face.
Nope.
But anyways, we're in the presence of sexiness right now.
We sure are. Just
Wow.
so you know, for the record, this is only 2 days.
Not you.
No, I know, but this is only 2 days. Just in case. There's only 2 days worth of beard, guys.
Yeah.
2 days.
It's a lot of beard.
It's a lot of beard, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's the vet beard. But today, guys, we're joined by Nicholas DeSimone, active duty Marine Chief Warrant Officer that is currently serving in the United States Marine Corps. And he has a very, very impactful story that we want to share with you guys. And the story that we want to share with you guys today is going to impact two groups of people. The groups of people, because specifically we had the gunny board very recently, right? And there is a lot of disappointed people out there in the Marine Corps that got passed over. Well, this Marine right here got passed over several times and faced adversity. We want to ensure that if you're facing adversity, how to react for it and be extremely successful to remain in your career. And on top of that, we also want to show the leaders that all of a sudden it's like, well, you face adversity, you might as well start putting in those Chick-fil-A applications because your time in the Marine Corps is out. Guys, Nicholas, welcome, brother. How you doing?
Thank you. Doing amazing. Thanks for having me here.
Of course, brother. Of course. Welcome in. I know that you and Barry served together on the depot.
Not on the depot.
Not on the depot.
11th Marines.
Yeah.
11th Marines.
I was a sergeant major at 111, and then he was a sergeant there at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
So how does it feel? I'm going to ask the first question to Barry. How does it feel to see one of essentially your Marines still in the Marine Corps and now a Chief Warrant Officer?
Oh my gosh, it gets me emotional. It's like, because I feel like, our career and I brought this up yesterday. Somebody hit me up on a memory and it just kind of hit me because I still can't believe it's over,
Yeah.
And, so to see somebody like Nick who, and let me tell you something, when this guy, this guy stuck out like a sore thumb. You think like he is not the kind of Marine who like went from sergeant to like staff sergeant and then to warrant officer and then magically like improved and stuff. He was a sergeant and he was the best staff NCO in the battalion. Okay. So, and that's real. Okay.
Yeah.
So immediately I'm like, what is going on with it? Who is this guy? Why hasn't he been promoted? Like everybody loves him. He's freaking just crushing it. Right. And he was a San Diego drill instructor. So he's always motivated, high energy, squared away, right? At work. He's at work.
Here we go.
And stuff.
Definitely.
So, and when we first met, it just, like I said, it just kind of clicked. And it's funny because he actually told the story about, how he first met me and stuff, but I'll defer to you. I don't know if you remember that.
I honestly can't remember exactly how
Great.
we
Now
met.
we're on camera. He can't remember.
Yeah. No, I just, I don't remember it at all. No, I do remember, though, the first sergeant major to ever allow me not only to speak to him and not be on the calendar, but he said, if that door is open, you will walk through it. Like, if you don't, I'm going to snatch you up and I'm going to bring you into it. So it was the first sergeant major that actually would sit down with me and just talk to me. So I felt like, wow, I have a leader who's going to go to bat for me and also show me what it means to be a staff NCO and to actually look out for me. Now, I'm not saying that the previous sergeant majors didn't do that, because I had some great ones.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember Sergeant Major Rhonda Kirby, I think her name is now.
Kirby.
She was phenomenal.
Yeah.
She was one of the best sergeant majors I ever had, but on the depot I had been struggling. So when I got to the fleet and you would pull me in and talk to me about everything under the sun and just BS with me, it felt real good to know that I had a sergeant major who knew who I was and who had my back. So
I remember when one of the things you said to me was, you're like, because you hear this all the time, at least I did in my career. You're like, you're the first sergeant major that didn't make me kiss the ring. Like I had to I didn't
I had
like
to prove myself to you.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Marines that do that though, right?
Unfortunately,
not just sergeant majors, but like
every rank they're there.
There's somebody, and it's like you got to bow down. You got to kiss the ring. It's very.
You got to earn my respect.
Yeah, what have you done for me?
It's very formal. It's very, like you said, you got to get on the calendar, and you'll go up to people. Hey, I'm looking for some help. Whatever we got. Nope, I don't have time. Get on my calendar. Goodbye. And you're like, that was so impersonal. I remember you said that, and I just, that meant a lot to me though. It meant a lot.
Yeah, and I meant it too. There's not too many people out there that'll just talk to you, just to BS with you. Like, wow, you're a really good Marine. You work hard. What did I just hear? You really saying that to me as a sergeant major to a young sergeant who's literally fighting for his career?
Yeah.
Just to be seen is like, wow, that little bit of validation.
We haven't seen each other in a couple of years. We were talking about that off camera. The last time was when I read his promotion warrant to warrant officer.
Oh, wow.
Which I'll never forget because I was pissed off that day.
I know why.
Why?
Because Marines can't read. They didn't. I'm not going to put names out there.
It was a Master Guns, and he had his cover. He had his cover pulled down almost over his ears. He pulled it out of his cargo pocket.
That's a Master Gunny thing, though.
He pulled it out of his cargo pocket.
That's a
and he
Master Gunny
came
thing.
in there just like he had never read a promotion warrant.
Was he Hispanic?
No, he was white.
Oh, wow.
He was white. He was built like a fire hydrant with arms.
So there's no excuse.
He had belt. He had. Listen, I'm gonna be real. He had belt cleavage, and he freaking gave a bad name to, in my opinion, to the Master Guns. I was pissed. I'm like, and I immediately was like, "Can we not read right now? Did we practice this?" Like, he was
You
over
said
here.
that to the Master Guns?
Yeah, he's over here as I was.
I did say that.
And I'm like, as I was. Wow. Which, if you guys didn't know, there is no such command as I was.
It's as you were.
It's as you were. I'm good. I'm freaking good. You, right? And it just killed me because it's like we're really gonna mess this up. But so when it came to Nick, I took a lot of pride. I was very nervous, and I just feel you should practice and go out there and read. But that was the last time we saw each other.
Yep. August 1st, 2022.
And now you're getting ready to pick up.
Pin on three.
Hey, but guys, I wish the cameras could be
looks
turned
really
so
good.
that way you guys can see what Anthony Glenn is doing right now. We called him out. He left. Hey, but essentially, brother, we have a lot. We have a full podcast ahead of us, right? But one thing that I wanna touch on is, we're two veterans. Why come onto the A to B podcast?
That's a good question. I think really just to tell the story. I mean, I've seen a lot of the stuff that you guys are putting out there. The content is incredible. As an active duty service member, these are the things that service members need to hear. Everything from transitioning out, stuff that's relevant nowadays, like things are different. Social media is taking over. I don't know a Marine that doesn't have it. So for them to have this information at their fingertips is important. So to see an active duty Marine speaking on the Marines' behalf, and the other thing is too, before I'm going to cut myself off, Marines who actually give a shit about the Marine Corps who are still serving, because it's easier to get out and say, the Marine Corps is not what it was. Mm-hmm. Marines nowadays are not what they were. Okay, well, we need to be better leaders now then. Mm-hmm. That's really how I feel. So to come on here and to tell my story and to reach another audience is really the goal here. To share the story, tell Marines, yes, like you said before, you can fail, you can get past, you can make mistakes and still push forward and line yourself up and put yourself on a trajectory to get to the next level. So that's why I'm here, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, continuing to serve service members. So what better way to support that? What better way to tell my story and share my story.
I just want to point out that I snapped a few pictures, and Nick's feet are at a 45-degree angle with his heels.
Why wouldn't they be?
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you this though. I do appreciate I do appreciate you coming onto the podcast and giving validity to what we're doing. Really, sure. We definitely appreciate that because we look at things now from a different angle. And what we want to make sure is that we bring reality into service. Because obviously, I was like I've said a million times on the podcast, I've been a very successful recruiter. I did a bunch of things for the United States Marine Corps, but at the end of the day, man, like, me personally, I wasn't ready to transition out because of what happened to me, right? And I feel that this is my way of kind of like venting. Kind of,
sure.
you know, and like you said, keep serving, and essentially, you know, keep letting people know, man. It's like, hey, listen, the Marine Corps is a great thing, but at the same time, you need to face the reality of it, because if you want to really make an impact in this institution, you need to understand the good and the bad.
Well, it's therapeutic, right? Like somebody was asking me about that this morning. Like, why do we do the podcast? And, you know, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's therapeutic. I'm glad that we linked up. We get guests on here, and it's you know, it's not just the dirtbags.
Yeah.
It's not just the window lickers. It's not just Jerry's kids. You know, like we get people on here that are super squared away, whether they're still on active duty or they're transitioning or have transitioned.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're the silent, you know, majority. They're the silent hard workers. They keep their head down. They're not trying to break their arm, patting themselves on the back. They're not on TikTok making a video in their car crying about, and I don't want to take away from any injustices in the military, but I'm just, you know, we're putting the military in a better light. And that's why we keep saying, coming out of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, we got to get you on here, Carlos. You know, I mean,
I just saw the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps the other day at the gym.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
He
But
just
was
comes
he
in there, he
working out?
talks to the Marines. He shows up. He was soaking wet from the rain, walking around Las Polgas. He's there just talking to Marines, which I love. That'd be awesome to have.
That's I posted in my story the other day. It's like, we hired the right guy for what we need.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we hired the right
He's
guy.
a Marine.
Yeah,
he cares
he
about
really
the
is.
Marines. He's standing in front of us, and
Yeah,
I'd
for
gladly-
sure. Now, I
gladly
agree with
follow
you
him.
with something, though. This is very therapeutic. That's how you say it?
Therapeutic, yeah.
What's not therapeutic, or however it is how you say it, is that this is a freaking sweat box right now. So, Jose, if you can see what the hell's going on with the AC out there, because the goddamn is hot in here.
Yeah.
But anyways, Nick, let's get back to it, brother. Can you talk to us a little bit about your early beginnings? Where are you from, and what made you join the Marine Corps?
Yeah, sure. I'm from Long Island, New York. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 21. I had attempted life on my own. I had an apartment. I had a couple jobs, and I just wasn't satisfied with where I was at in my life. So I made the decision to join the service, but I didn't know which branch I wanted to join. My stepfather had a great influence on me. Everyone looked up to him. They respected him, you know, the way he carried himself, and he served in the Marine Corps from 84 to 89. Wow. And the way that he carried himself, it just stuck with me. And there was no way that I was going to join any other branch of service. So he's really the influence behind it. But I knew deep down I wanted to be a service member. And I just couldn't walk around the house with him talking shit to me about joining the Navy or anything. No offense to all the other service members out there. But really, there was no other answer for me. It was Marine Corps for sure.
Is he still around, your stepfather?
He is. He actually was my first salute when I pinned on to warrant officer. He
that's
didn't know it. I told him, I said, just bring a cover. And as soon as I pinned on, I raised my right hand, took the oath of office, about face, and I called him to attention. I called him up and I said...
We said lock your body.
I said, Sergeant Imbassiani front and center. And I've never seen the man cry before.
Yeah.
And he had a hard time holding him back. And
Wow,
he
that's
saluted,
super
and I gave him...
emotional.
He's
I gave him my
Italian?
Dude, I get
He's
emotional,
Italian,
dude.
Puerto Rican.
Okay.
He's
so
a man's man.
But
He's
what a combination right there.
He's a fireman. He's a
the
freaking
Italian is
Marine.
why he's a great American. First of all.
NYPD.
First of
Hey,
all.
Jose's gonna edit your face out of all the podcasts. I swear. But brother, it makes me emotional, man. Like, cause, oh man, that's like the big first salute. Can you explain actually for
Yeah,
people,
for sure.
into the camera, like to the people, why is the first salute when you pin on one officer so important?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing behind it, it's just a tradition that stays with us. I mean, being an enlisted Marine, we salute officers, and so for me to pin on as an officer and about face and receive my first one, it just means a lot. So you want to choose somebody that means a lot to you, that kind of got you where you were or had a big impact on your career. So for me, there was a couple choices that I had, but I wanted to give him that honor, because if it weren't for him and his impact and the way he, carried himself, I don't know that I would be in the Marine Corps right now. So
That's deep.
So I wanted to give it to him and give him that honor. So, the choice was.
That's amazing. So how did you're 21, you had your own thing going. How did you link up with the recruiter? Do you remember this?
I do. So a kid I went to school with, he was in his uniform at a funeral. And after the funeral was over, I approached him and I asked him how he was doing. And I told him he looked great. And I was in a pretty bad place at that time. I wasn't doing the right things. I dropped out of school, just working the jobs and trying to pay rent. And I approached him. I said, hey, like, what do I got to do? And he's like, easy. I'm going to bring you to the recruiter's office. Meet me here tomorrow. It's like, okay, I'll be there. And I showed up. He introduced me to the recruiter. And I would love to talk a little bit more about the RSS staff NCOIC, Cedric Smith, if we have an opportunity to.
Oh.
But that was the story.
Yeah,
that's
go
how I
ahead.
showed up. Yeah, and this man, I mean, he wasn't my recruiter, but he made the biggest impact. I actually posted a picture just recently about a Marine who told me how much of an impact I had on him as a drill instructor, but I wasn't even his drill instructor. So the impact that this recruiter, the RSS staff NCOIC had on me was phenomenal, long lasting. In fact, he's going to pin me on Chief Warrant Officer 3 in Hawaii come August 1st.
For those that don't know who that is he still active duty?
He's not. He retired as a first sergeant. He was previously, I think his last command, he was the drill master for 8th and I. He had a very successful career. He was a drill instructor. He was a recruiter. Phenomenal Marine. Set an incredible example for me, but I just remember looking up to him like, holy cow, this is what Marines are. I need to really step my game up.
Nice.
I still remember a jacket that he wore. It said, I lead, you follow. And it was just such it just stuck with me.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, being a drill master is a very high visibility billet. There's only, I would say, 7 Marine Corps wide, including 8th and I, because you're going to have the drill masters for each battalion at the depots. And sorry, DI school, you're not a part of that. And I'm not even sorry, actually. But anyways, either way, it's less than 10. And that one at 8th and I is like,
You made it.
There is no higher visibility for the silent drill team at Marine Barracks 8th and I. That Marine, the drill master, coordinates every single ceremony, practice. That's what they do. It's a lot. So that's amazing, and that's awesome. He sounds like an amazing Marine. Did you ever
recruiter.
And a recruiter and drill instructor though. But a drill instructor though.
Oh, he was a drill instructor too?
He was. Yeah.
God
see,
damn.
you missed that part. Dang, dog. You see,
God damn.
you be selective hearing over here. He was a recruiter.
I'm ready.
I was talking pretty quick.
He was a recruiter, but then he woke up. And then he was right. So, you know what I'm saying? He was born again and stuff. Okay. Did you ever consider another branch, or did a recruiter from another branch ever approach you?
Yes. So originally, I was talking to an Army recruiter. I'm not really even sure how that all went down. I don't remember too much about it. I remember talking to him, wasn't too interested. Spoke to a Navy recruiter. He picked me up, brought me to get some chow, and then that was the last I heard of him.
Of course, you went and got chow.
We got chow together. He's bribing me with some Burger King or something, and then. I don't remember him reaching back out after that. And that was it. Those were the 2 recruiters that I spoke to. But once I saw the Marine Corps recruiter, I was like, what do I have to do? Where do I have to be? How do I become this? That was it.
What visually, was there something that stuck out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, number one, the uniform. They don't wear this one. They wear the
Deltas.
blue trousers.
Yeah.
But I think just their confidence, the way that people in the community were looking at them, the way they carried themselves. I think really just, everything about a Marine, I didn't, from an outsider looking in, I was like, these guys are it. There's no way that I could do anything else. I want to be that guy.
Yeah. So like from the time you go to the recruiter's office and then how long until you like get to boot camp?
It was very quick. I want to say about a month, maybe 2. In hindsight, like I really don't remember how long that process was, but for me it was so quick. I had already done enough schooling to get me into recruit training. And I asked him, I said, please get me to boot camp as quick as possible.
Now, were you a high school graduate?
I was not.
What happened there?
So my recruiter did some magic, spoke to the principal
I
at
bet
the
he
school,
did.
and was able
We're
to.
magicians as well.
Was
verified.
I'm not even kidding.
I believe
didn't
you.
graduate. I didn't have a diploma. And he's like, well, we're going to go talk to the principal. Brought me in his govy to the principal and said, what do we got to do to make this thing work? She's like, well, I have some credits that he can gain from boot camp. I don't know if that's a thing or
That
if
is.
they just made that up.
No, that is.
But that's how I got it.
Wow.
So I got my diploma after.
So you became a Marine and a high school graduate.
That's right.
Wow, never heard that before.
Albert, as a recruiter, what's going through your mind? Like we're talking in the recruiter's office, 21, not a high school graduate, 1 month, and this guy's at Paris Island.
What I'm thinking is, what the hell was going on through that OPSO's freaking, like the OPSO and the ops chief, like, because they're the ones that verify all that information. So the way that it happens now is you cannot actually go to, or you cannot actually enlist in the United States Marine Corps into the lit entry program without you having that high school, either high school credits. Mm-hmm. Because remember, we recruit a lot of high school seniors, so you need those credits. And then by the time before you ship out, you actually need the actual high school diploma,
so there's
or
some
GED equivalent.
So there's some kind of a threshold that you're looking for as a recruiter. Like, okay, they meet this, we're going to be good.
Correct. Yes. So yeah.
So I had enough.
You had enough. Yeah.
They got me over the
I mean,
hill.
it worked. And what year was this?
2007.
Yeah, maybe the times were different because obviously I went on recruiting. I don't think so, but I mean, I went on recruiting in 2016, so almost 10 years later. But yeah, that is definitely a first time that I ever heard that you get your high school diploma. I mean, but it does make sense though.
It does. I mean, the classes that we received there are
Amazing.
incredible.
They're informative.
In Paris Island, yes.
This was in Paris
Let
Island.
me remind you.
I was on both coasts, so
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, what was your MOS?
I was originally an artillery mechanic, 2131.
Oh, really?
So I fixed the M777 howitzers.
Oh, yeah. I was 0811. Yeah.
It's a small world.
It's crazy.
I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So where were you stationed at?
My first duty station was 29 Palms, California. I was with 311.
311.
This is
And
amazing.
then what was your second one?
My second one was the depot. As soon as I got promoted, I dropped the
okay,
package
okay.
and I was.
So
gone.
do you know Langversite? He was
Langversite?
no, it wasn't Langversite. It was Land or something, Longview or something like that. He was a tall white dude. He was also a mechanic. Longwell, yeah, Longwell.
He's still in.
He's still in. That's good. He was my arty mechanic.
He's brilliant.
Yeah,
very
he's
smart guy.
He's a
But
very
what's an
smart guy.
artillery mechanic do? Like, what kind of problems are you typically,
Yeah. So originally it was the M1908, and when I came in, our class was the first to repair the M777. So for us, it's just remove, replace. If a part breaks on the howitzer, we'll simply identify the problem and repair the item. If it needs further like detailed inside the cylinders or certain specific requirements to ship off to a higher echelon of maintenance, then we'd ship it off to a third shop where
civilians
Marines are
or are they
trained.
Marines?
Well, there are field service representatives, FSRs, that conduct maintenance, but mostly Marines that are performing the maintenance on it.
Yeah, it was kind of like that for us in the air wing. Like you had the O level, they're the guys and the gals on the flight line. They do like the cosmetic stuff. They're not real mechanics. Then they would send it to the I level, which is what I was, intermediate. We could get deep in the weeds. But if a component needed to be broken down further from there, like a power turbine disc or something like that, we're not removing blades. That would have to go to depot level, which are 100% civilian.
Yeah, so we'll ship it off to like an IMA, which is an intermediate maintenance activity.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
they'll conduct the repairs, put it back on the shelf. So when we need it, we go conduct a secondary repair, grab the item off the shelf, put it on. So it's an expedient process. So remove and replace was my echelon of maintenance.
You know, I want to ask you something that's I feel is really important. So, what would you say to young men and women out there in the country who maybe they're 18, they're 19, 21, they're a high school dropout, maybe whatever the case is, they're feeling like there's no options for them. How am I going to make this work? And you know, what would you say to them about where they're at and what options they have?
Yeah, I love this question because I remember sitting on my bed with my fists in my cheeks, just pondering what I was supposed to do. I had no idea, and I didn't really have a lot of direction. I just knew what the end state was. I wanted to be successful, so I literally just wrote down what I wanted out of my life. I want a house, I want a marriage, I want a family, I want a successful career. You know, I want a nice car. Okay, now what do I have to do to get those things? What is my first step? For me, it was easy. I joined the service, I get my act together, and I have a stepping stone. So what is that first step? So figure out what you want out of your life and figure out what that first step is going to be. Okay, I need to finish my school, or I need to do this thing to get to this first step, and just backtrack and figure out what it is that you need to do. You know, and write it down. I mean, the power of words. I mean, I tell Marines all the time, take notes, write things down, make them turn the thought into a reality, put it on a piece of paper and put it somewhere you can see it every day and take one step further towards your goal. That's what I would tell them. Time now.
What if they don't believe in themselves?
That's tough. I mean, there's nothing worse than putting yourself down. I mean, you have to build yourself up. There's no way you're going to succeed if you don't think you're good enough. You're creating barriers for yourself. And I mean, you are capable of literally anything you want to do. And if you're telling yourself you're not good enough, well, then you're not going to be. The first step is to tell yourself that I am going to achieve this thing. It doesn't matter what it is. If I wanted to make millions of dollars, then that's what I would do. My goal was to always, like I wrote down, I mean, I'll even go back to it. Write down, I am good enough. Even if you don't believe it, write it down, look in the mirror and tell yourself that you are. That's step one. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but that's what I would tell a Marine. I would tell anybody. Believe in yourself is not as difficult as you think it is.
Well, because we get contacted by people every day and they're not in the military. They don't believe in themselves. They don't feel like they can do it. They don't know where to start.
I have a good one.
Yeah.
Achieve something small. Do something small. If you're the type of person that sits at home a lot and you're watching a lot of TV and you're just like, I need to get outside, but you're just stuck inside. Okay, well, tell yourself you're going to go outside and go for a 10-minute jog. Mm-hmm. Something small. You get that dopamine rush. You've accomplished something, and now you have something to look back at and be like, okay, here we are. Do something. Move. An inch forward is an inch forward. You're moving forward. You're getting progress. So,
as far as the military goes, where does that rank in your life as like decisions? Pretty good?
As far as joining the Marine Corps?
Yep.
The best thing I ever did in my life. Hands down, bar none. Met the best people, met my wife, had children, had an incredible career within the highs and lows. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't redo it. All the lessons that I learned. The best thing I ever did was join the service.
How did that, we're going to talk a little bit about your boot camp experience, but how did it feel to earn that title, Marine?
It was the proudest, and I'm getting chills talking about it.
Oh, damn.
He is actually getting
the
goosebumps.
proudest moment of my entire life. I don't remember crying as much as I did in that moment. We get done with the Crucible, which is the culminating event. And we are about to be called Marines for the first time, and you've worked, and some individuals are in the DEP program for months and months and months. So everything leading up to that point, and then getting there and saying, okay, I've accomplished this incredible task with all these people that are doing the same thing, and here I am. Here's my drill instructor standing in front of me. Gave me my Eagle Globe and Anchor, and I just started crying, and the Marine next to me is crying, and the Marine after me is crying, because you share this common bond. You're sharing this accomplishment that really is from an outsider looking in and an insider, trying to talk out. You can't describe it. You can't understand it. Nothing like it.
So I want to say something to everybody out there, because every day on social media, there's a train wreck video out there that makes the military look bad. And I want you to pay attention to what Nick just said. This guy was not a high school graduate, and he's an officer in the United States Marine Corps, in the United States military today. So I know there's a lot of sad stories and sob stories. I'm not here to take away from any of those. But what I am here to tell you is, listen to what he just said. It was the single best decision he ever made in his life, and earning the title United States Marine was one of the proudest moments of his entire life, and he wouldn't trade any of that for anything. I want you to listen to that, because I don't care where you're at. You just watched some crazy video. You heard this about the military. You don't agree with the current political climate or the administration in the country. You need to stop worrying about all that stuff. You need to focus a lot more on you and playing your position in this world. And if you can relate even for 5 seconds to anything Nick just said, you better take action today. Because like the old Chinese proverb goes, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time is right now.
Yeah, you got to drown out the noise. Find control through the chaos. And right now, more than ever, it's just a distraction. If you have a goal or something in mind that you would like to accomplish, and that's exactly it, drown it out. Find your path and execute. I know it's easy for Marines who have accomplished all these great tasks, but it's not that hard. Just put one foot in front of the other and take the next step. That first step is actually the hardest one. After that, you just start rolling.
Yeah, it's just that so many people are scared of failing. But if people would understand that winners are just losers that tried one more time.
Correct.
Like,
I love
that's
that.
it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I love that.
They
That
just
is
didn't
100%
quit.
it.
The only difference between a champion and the second runner-up or somebody who just simply just tried it is just that. They didn't quit. They went through every emotion.
Yep.
To try to figure out what they have to do to get to that level. And that's the difference between a champion and anybody else.
Now, getting back to your story, Nick, you obviously said that you were with 311 as an artillery mechanic. That's where real artillery men are made.
Oh,
Just so y'all know, that's where the real training happens.
That's where the training happens.
Even including for the Marines in Camp Pendleton. Because the Marines in Camp Pendleton got a plan in order for us to go to 29 Palms. You guys are already there. That is your backyard shoot, how we used to call them.
That is it.
So, obviously, talk to us very briefly about how was your experience, in your first 4 years. Did you do 4 or 5 years as an artilleryman before you went to the depot?
I did a little over 4, about 4.5 years.
4.5. Okay. And how was that experience for you? Because artillery, specifically back in those days, that shit was no joke.
It's very difficult to summarize my 4.5 years. I had, so many wins, so many incredible experiences, and like you said, so many failures. Yeah. I failed so many times, but it was the perfect opportunity when I'm a young Marine, learning and growing. But my first 4 years, in summary, I get to the fleet. I get attached to a firing battery that had just gotten back from Iraq. So I'm the boot. I'm the new guy, and they have all the experience. So I was doing all the work. Yeah. They were training me. And during that time, we were doing workups and part of Mojave Viper, which is, units come to 29 Palms. They train, they get climatized for the environment they're about to operate in. And so we were supporting all those infantry units.
Which is military for it was hot and uncomfortable.
Oh my God!
Okay,
it was hot
windy,
and
hot, uncomfortable.
And if he's ever
and don't you ever mess with a desert tortoise?
No, don't touch the wildlife. Don't touch them. If a snake bites you, it's your fault.
Seriously, that's real, by the way.
And if he's ever explained about what an artilleryman's job is, and that it's all hard work, setting up tents, loading rounds, chucking rounds. Any movement to another position is like an ungodly amount of work in the heat. So we're doing that all summer long to provide training for other units that are coming in and going to Afghanistan. So we did that, and then we started a workup to do an Iraq tour, and I was part of the commander's personal detail. And so we're doing a lot of high speed, low drag stuff.
Yeah.
But that mission got canked, and then they said we're going to go to Afghanistan. So now it's real, and now we're training, and we're doing everything under the sun to get ready for it. We go to Afghanistan. We're in Helmand Province. We didn't have a KIA. 311 India battery came home. Everyone came home.
Wow, that's really good.
And 10th Marines replaced us. I get back, and my ordnance officer asked me if I want to go on another one. I'm like, let's do it. So I actually got to go on a MU, a Marine Expeditionary Unit, the 31st MU to Okinawa.
What does that mean for everybody out there that doesn't know?
So Battalion Landing Team 17 was the unit that I was attached to. They conduct operations overseas on a ship, and they're a force in readiness. So whenever anything pops off overseas, the Marines are there ready to execute whatever it calls for, whether it's humanitarian or any combat-related event. So we're on ship, and we're just stopping at different Libel ports, and we're kind of just trying to make most of our days. We're doing a lot of Marine Corps martial arts and going to eat chow and going to the gym and getting buff. So it was a different experience going from combat to the 31st MU. But in summary, got to do 2 deployments. I was meritoriously promoted twice while I was there. And had a
to what
great
rank?
experience.
Corporal and sergeant?
I was meritoriously promoted to corporal 1 year, 1 month, 1 day in the Marine Corps. And
Oh, wow.
a lot of my seniors didn't like that.
Why not?
Because I was new.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's this thing with Arctic mechanics. The same thing with Longwell. Dude, everyone loved
meritorious
Longwell. Everyone,
No
like,
doubt.
this guy was a water walker. Dude, he's like a 6, I would say 6'2". Dude, but this guy is freaking huge.
humongous.
Yeah, he's
like
humongous.
me.
Nobody
Like
fucked
you.
with him. Yeah, but you're like,
you're a little
6'1"
bit
though?
bigger.
I'm 5'17",
5. That's what it is. Okay,
and I don't like to
5'17".
talk about it because it's like, oh my god,
Here we go again
here
with
he's
the
on
height.
he's so tall, and it's
I was just replying
No.
on a comment on a dude that called you little.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, listen. And I was like, oh,
Haters.
really little. I was like, really little. It's like, how about you grow a proper beard? He looked Puerto Rican too. So this,
Damn.
this
So
is
you
what a
really
proper
call
beard
shots
looks.
fired.
Yeah.
I called him out. But anyways, yeah, they're like this. What's up with Arctic mechanics being all these water walkers, like getting all the meritoriously promotions and all that
I
stuff?
literally just talked to a Marine yesterday. He got fapped to the gym because some of his paperwork is jacked up. He's an 0811. And he's asking me, he said, what do I got to do? What should I do? What's the right move here next? I said, honestly, you can't go wrong with being supporting the warfighter, because we support the 0811.
Yeah.
0811 supports the 03. Being in a support MOS, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, we get a lot of the attention because as an 0811, you'll work your butts off in the field all day, and then the mechanics are getting all the attention. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the leadership, and I'm not
gonna
talking
tell you-
crap. It's the leadership, I
Yeah.
think, is just not acknowledging that hard work. Whereas the commander's
But
like, holy crap,
They do it
look
with
at
a
these
lot of
other
the
guys.
motor team
I'm
guys.
gonna tell you this.
Motor
a lot of
team,
the
supply,
mechs.
Yeah.
mechanics. They
And
get
for
the
those of you
attention.
guys that don't know,
True.
I know we're using a lot of military jargon. Artillery are the big cannons, okay? So they fire huge rounds very far, and they go boom. And just a little bit back to what Nick was talking about, the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. That is how the Marine Corps is able to reach out and touch anybody literally at any time, because we just park off your front yard and we're just always there watching you. So I know you guys, and that's real.
Yeah.
We're all over the planet right now, and I know you hear something about China and this guy. We're everywhere, okay? Was it like a good neighbor? State Farm
is
That's
there.
the Marine Corps, man. So
But in this case, it's the Marine Corps, and they are a bunch of devil dogs ready to fucking put a fight to your doorstep.
and that's all they do all day is train for that.
Yes, and just to give a little bit more depth into what also Nick and Barry were saying, there's 3 elements to a Marine Expeditionary Unit, right? There's the logistics combat element, there is the BLT, which is the Battalion Landing Team, and then there's the ACE, which is the air combat element, okay? So those three, that means that we are ready to go absolutely anywhere. BLT they have artillery, they have
There is nothing.
AAVs, they have tracks.
There's nothing in the arsenal that we do not have.
Exactly. And if you're close enough to the beach, we also got the Navy raining down on your freaking beaches. So there's
we
that.
will. And we will.
You know, and you know what? Man, you know, not to get political in this podcast.
We never do.
But that's why I felt
Because
so
I know
safe.
you're voting for Biden.
Yes, yes, I am voting for Biden, guys. That's why I wore this blue cap today.
Okay.
But essentially, you know, that's what. Remember, I've spoke about it here. Is where I say it's like this is the safest that I felt. It's because as a service member, we know what the hell we got and we know what we're so capable of, right? And then we have a freaking country like say, I'm just gonna put an example like Iran. Dude, I don't know if you saw this when you were on the mute, but when we were going through the Strait of Hormuz, there was the news cycles were saying, Navy ships get intercepted by Iranian ships. Dude, we look outside, it was this 2 little freaking boats. A 50 cal, just one singular 50 cal could have taken both of those things out. You know what I'm saying? And then we're like, this is the people that we went to Qatar. And then it was like a huge international like meet. They were like the British were there, Australians were there, like, you know, the Egyptians were there, like all of these countries. Dude, we showed up in our smallest ship of the fleet and we still were this biggest ship there. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, why do we have to listen to these other peasant-ass countries and, like, go into their, you know, like, their rhetoric?
Well, it's just, you know what it is. It's the news, it's the media, and they like to get a lot of, like, hype and fear and buzz, and people really don't understand. Nobody comes close to our military budget. There is not a single country on the planet. Nobody's military can do what ours can do. And here's the ultimate proof. If there was another military that could, they would have already tried.
Yeah,
they would have already made an
true.
attempt. Okay.
Very true.
So just so you're aware out there, if China could do something, they would have done it.
Yeah, but I mean, one good book to read though is the 100-Year War.
Yeah,
that is China's plan, and if you ask me, it's working right now.
Or Message Garcia, because I know that was next on your list.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Freaking,
sure. If you're like a Lance Corporal,
you know, yeah.
But Nick, essentially, getting back to your story. So you did 2 deployments while you were over there with 311. You got meritoriously promoted twice, and then you hit the drill field.
I did.
Why did you choose to go drill instructor besides going recruiter?
Oof.
You look like a well-spoken person, so I know you would have done great as a recruiter.
That's the only thing I wanted to do. If I stayed in the Marine Corps, I talked to my ex-wife about it. I said, if I stay in, the only thing I want to do is be a drill instructor. If I had a successful tour there or didn't, it literally would have completed everything I wanted to achieve in the Marine Corps. That's all I wanted to do.
What was your experience like when you got to boot camp at Parris Island? Like, do you remember any of that?
I do. I actually was a ramp recruit.
Wow.
Oh, what's a ramp recruit?
Do you know what the acronym is?
I forget what it stands for, but they're like...
They're the ones that need help.
They need a lot of help.
Okay. I've never heard this term before. I'm learning something new today.
Yeah.
Did they have ramp recruits?
They did, yeah. When I was a drill
we had
instructor.
them too. And we would select the ones that are like either really good, like maybe 1 or 2 really good ones, like the guide or something, and then the ones that are struggling. And I was one of the ones that were struggling.
What was it? Were you fat or something?
No, I didn't get it. It wasn't clicking for me. And I remember my senior drill instructor was teaching us drill, and he just had taught us how to lock the bolt to the rear. Yeah. So on the rifle, we're locking the bolt back to the rear, and I think he's trying to teach us a little bit of hand and arm strength. So he's telling us to just hold it to the rear so that we can build up that strength. And so
the recruits are all in pain at this point. Everybody, they're crying.
I lock it to the rear, and I'm just standing there, and everyone else is like screaming in pain.
Nick feels good. Nick feels good.
I'm
He's
like,
that shit is loose as hell. That shit is loose as hell afterwards, right?
And so I'm just standing there, and the senior starts coming over to me, and he snatches my rifle from me, and he tells the whole platoon to get in a semicircle. And I'm thinking like, oh, I'm the man. I'm about to get some acknowledgement here.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
and
you
he
sure are.
Starts telling me what a shit I am and all these other things. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, what's going on here?
Right.
I come to find out during that conversation that I was supposed to be doing something else. So he saw me and he was just like, the whole platoon is getting punished for this. And now everyone is looking at me like, you're a piece of shit. So I felt like this big during recruit training.
Now, how did he punish the rest of the platoon? Do you recall?
He definitely gave us some incentive training.
So did he put
As a
them
platoon.
He put them in. Everybody was put in physical pain for recruit D. Simone.
ITing, incentive training for me. So he had me pegged. I was a shitbag.
So it's like in Full Metal Jacket when like Pyle gets caught with the donut, and then and then like the drill instructor makes him stand on the Foot Locker and eat the donut, and everybody else is like doing push-ups.
That's the worst thing.
Imagine that, guys. That's the picture I want you to have. If we can, like, Full Metal Jacket.
I did not get beat up in the middle of the night.
There was
Thankfully.
no,
There was no
called?
soap.
The blanket party.
No blanket party.
The blanket party is what they call, you put the soap in the blanket and then you hold the guy down and you're whacking him with the soap, and nobody does that.
At least not anymore.
Not in my platoon. Never happened.
Not anymore.
But I do have a
So you were a
successful
ramp
story
recruit.
behind that. So I get to go and watch the graduation. It's basically a day where the recruits can like see what's beyond, what we're doing right now, which is pretty much hell.
Yeah.
In the squad base. So I get an opportunity to see graduation, and my motivation is high. I get back to the platoon, and I'm like, I gotta crush it. Like, my motivation is through the roof. I gotta pay attention. I gotta focus on what I'm doing. So it snapped me back in. It was an opportunity for me to learn and grow. Fast forward, we're on the obstacle course, and I get all the way through the obstacle course. I climb the rope. I slap the pine at the top, and I say, recruit D. Simone, platoon 2006, senior drill instructor, staff sergeant X. And he goes, you finished it that quick? I say, yes, sir. He says, come back down and go fire one of the squad leaders. You're one of my squad leaders now. So it was a success story. I go back and I remember I fired one of them, and he's like, fuck you, get the fuck out of here. I was like, okay. So I go to the back of the platoon, and all the recruits finish. We're all lined up. He says, where's recruit D. Simone at? I'm like, here, sir. He said, I thought I told you to fire one of the recruits. I said, I did. He told me to go fuck off. He goes, which one?
Welcome to the